Hey everybody, I'm back. Took a few weeks off, but welcome to Rick Snyder's Varsity, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and you hit the thanks button. I know nobody's here at the moment, but there will be soon. There's Steve. I knew you'd show up. Thanks for coming. And I'll pop up on these Mondays here in the off season once in a while. We'll see what happens. Today was a big day, so I thought I'd show up and do something. Been working all day, so why not keep working tonight? And if you hit for those of you watching on replay, because usually more people do than live, if you hit the thanks button, I appreciate it because I'm still poor. And we're going to talk about all things Washington Commanders. So, Steve, you have the floor since you're the only person. Oh, okay, a couple more came in, but Steve wants to ask the first question. We just basically, you ask questions, I try to answer them and talk about other stuff. So, Steve says, what's the most important move today? Woo! Well, okay. I would say Andrew Wiley. Washington Commanders made 6 moves today. Let's go down. They re-signed Danny Johnson, 2-year deal. Deron Payne signed his deal. It's now a 4-year deal, $90 million, $60 million guaranteed. But the great thing about this move is it takes his cap number from about $19 million to $9 million. So you can get about $10 million this way. And they get to keep them. But the number is really great. Andrew Wiley comes over from Kansas City, where he's played guard and tackle. And God knows this team needs people to play 2 positions with all the injuries they have. But, this is Eric Bieniemy finding one of his old players. He'll be a right tackle, should be. And that moves Cosme over to right guard. I think Cosme's a guard anyway, so let's hope that works out. And then they got, and Wiley had 59 games, played really well in the stretch last season. He's an undrafted free agent out of Eastern Michigan. I have been to Eastern Michigan. Dude, I got to park like 100 feet from the gate. Okay, that kind of tells you what a small place it is. I went out there to cover a Maryland game years ago. You're going one way, like the only car, and then everybody coming the other direction was from the Michigan game. It was like one of those nuclear things where you're going one way, they're going the other. So it came from a small program, wasn't drafted, but, it's done okay. Nick Gates should be competing for center. I understand. I talked to a friend of mine who covers the Giants, and he said, this guy's hard worker, got a piece of nasty in him. And, he's the guy who broke his leg at FedEx 2 years ago, had to have 7 surgeries, missed 14 games over 2 seasons, played 10 games last year. You kind of wonder about injuries because this team's injuries at center have just been, one of the big reasons why they didn't get to playoffs. So if he's healthy, and he should be, I think he could do it. 3-year deal, 16.5, $8 million guaranteed. There, they picked up a waiver move. I was like, whoa, look at this one. They're doing everything today. It took a Minnesota's 2020 third-round cornerback named Cam Dantzler, has 26 starts. Be a backup move. Some of these are backup moves, but and then linebackers. They got Seattle's Cody Barton, 1-year fully guaranteed deal. Kind of a little something. He was a 2019 third rounder, played 65 games, but really didn't play a lot till last season. Didn't play that well the first few seasons. So we'll see what we get out of that. And I would guess Cole Holcomb isn't coming back now. The reports are that they were wide apart. What's all today do? Shores up, finds that offensive line in the middle. They desperately needed center to right tackle. Figure it out. And they did that. So now I guess Leno and Norwell on the left side, maybe Gates in the middle, Cosme and Wiley on the right side. That's the kind of thing you really needed, if this is going to work. So I think Wiley's probably the best signing, I would guess, out of all of this. I mean, aside Payne on there. All right. So let's see what else we got. Hey, Daniel, good to see you back. I've just been trying to catch my breath, and I moved into a new home during the season. I didn't have time to put anything on the walls or whatever. So my wife is very happy that I could finally get around to doing some stuff. Let me change my room here a little bit. That's what I've been doing. Okay, Hank asked, "Was Barton signed? Is that the end of Holcomb?" Yeah, I think so, Hank. I think they were too far apart, and Holcomb got hurt last year. You figure you take a lower deal, but all right, Steve. Any idea which quarterback they might be thinking about? Oh, Lamar Jackson. Don't you know that he's going to be here tomorrow? The Baltimore Ravens played this pretty well. Because Baltimore Ravens are a pretty sharp outfit, to be honest. Um, and they basically, Lamar doesn't have an agent, which makes this harder. He thinks he's worth a lot more. And so they said, well, we're going to see what the market does. Well, yes and no. If you hang the tag on him like they did, whoever gets him has to give up 2 first. Nobody's going to be willing to really bid full price for something like that. So you depress the price. And at that point, they'll tell Lamar, maybe in a few weeks, hey, man, nobody really loves you. Come home. And that's how they're going to try and keep him. And I think it has a chance of working. I heard there was some barking today about he'd sit out the season. That's classic retaliation talk. Okay, so anyway, what quarterback they're going to get, I'm not sure yet. I mean, you want to say Dalton, but I'm not sure yet. All right, Nick says, there's a rumor floating around the Commanders could be interested in Austin Eckler. Had not heard that one, so I can't really comment on it. Sorry, Nick. Gregory, is Dan Snyder really leaving? Yes, he's really leaving. Really leaving. It's really going to happen. I'm surprised we got that far into the show without talking about it. Surprised you haven't signed Curl yet. Wouldn't surprise me if they do it soon. Sometimes you just try and, you only have so much money in different moments. DC Destiny, any idea on what Roulier and Logan Thomas is after today's move? I think Logan Thomas is going to be staying. I was surprised. I didn't think he was after 2 years of injuries and a higher cap number. But I don't think they're desperate on the cap now to force that. And I think they want to use him. So I say Logan may stay. Chase, I see probably going. Oh, there's Abe. He's back. Is Lamar doing himself an injustice by representing himself? Yeah. Very few players get more money than they would have without an agent. Now, they don't have to pay an agent, but it's not that much in the end. It's like the man who defends himself has the lawyer. What does it say? The old saying, a man who represents himself in court has a fool for a client. Kind of the same thing. The craziest thing I ever saw was the Turk brothers. Dan Turk was his brother Matt Turk's agent. I mean, they were brothers, but he served as his agent. We're at training camp. Matt's a holdout. Dan's there practicing. And every day after practice, we go ask Dan, where's Matt? What's happening? And he would tell us stuff. And Charlie Cashley just was madder than hell because, Dan just told the truth about what was going on. It was just weird. And you're like, you're here, but your brother's not because you represent him. That was classic Turks, to be honest. They were a fun bunch to deal with. All right, Stephen, do you expect Roulier to be post-June 1 cut? At the latest, probably. Let's see, Nick, how do we address the tight end situation? I do agree that it's a very important spot. I've really come to love the tight end situation because a great tight end is a backbreaker to a defense. And I think, I don't know. We'll see if Logan is healthy or not. I mean, we'll probably know by the camps at max. But, if not, well, Cole Turner looked really good last year and then got hurt. So I don't know. There was a guy that you liked. And certainly this offense is going to use tight ends a lot because Kansas City did. So I would think that we'll see something there going on. Gosh, really don't want to talk about Dan Snyder. I made a joke last week on Twitter. I was kind of joking at least. So would you come if they threw a parade when Dan Snyder sells? 60,000 people were on that tweet. And I got hundreds of tweets. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if the 1067, the fan who I work for, does something, some kind of event. I don't know if they're going to have a parade or not. You need a permit for a parade. But I heard from people all over the world, especially like the UK, they all kept saying, we're going to have a barbecue. Okay, maybe that's what you do in the UK for celebrating. I don't know what they do for the King's coronation. But that's where Dan's going, so I guess he'll find out. Dan will be sentenced to a lifetime of eating cold baked beans for breakfast. Ooh. Yeah, I couldn't. That was the one weird part of British food I didn't like when I was over there. So I think there'll be an event. I think there'll be a lot of people at it. And I said, if you're going to have a parade, I get to be the grand marshal. I'm the first guy that met Dan Snyder and had to deal with him. I've had to have my last name turn into a curse word in this town for 20 years. So I think I deserve it. So we'll see. Let's see what happens. Okay, so let's see. Abe says, what impact was Payne's signing have on future of the other D line? I think it's an independent thing, because next year's budget's going to be different than this year's budgets. You'd have to decide if they want to keep Sweat. Is it a Sweat versus Chase Young deal? I don't know. They have to decide with Chase Young by May 1st whether to give a guarantee, go for his fifth-year option. It's hard to believe he's looking at a fifth-year option. You've barely seen this guy play. And I don't know. Ron's been cagey about whether they're going to do it. So I don't know. I think it's a little up in the air on that. I would say they don't have any camps, I think, before May 1st because it's right after the draft. I think we'll see what happens. Are you satisfied with the linebackers they picked up today, says Kevin? I guess. I mean, I think this defense is line first, secondary second, and linebackers third. The thing about Cody Barton is I think this defensive line will protect him well in the middle where he can play the run more and come up. I think he'll benefit from playing here. But you're still asking him to play a lot better than he ever has. It's really up to Jamin Davis, to make that position's middle line, linebacking position better. Let's see. Abe's all in for Sweat. I like Sweat, but I don't know. I think he's going to be too expensive. Would I rather sign Chase or Sweat? Asked Jordan. Man, tell me who's healthy. Right now, you have to say Sweat. But if Chase goes out there and balls out this year, I'd say him. But they're both first-round picks, so it's not like you're favoring that over each other. I mean, one's much higher, but still, they're both first-round picks. Nick, what's the deal with Heinecke? Ooh, it took us this long to get to Heinecke. All right. Will he be returned as a backup? I don't know. I know there's talks. I know there's a lot of interest around. And I think the next 2 days will decide. If he is not signed by Wednesday by Washington, I don't know that he's back. And I don't know that it's going to make a difference. They're all in for Hal at this point. I mean, I would like to see Heinecke back. I thought he did a great job as a spot, as a guy coming in. He had a 500 record, which is about what his team is. He does a good job in that kind of role. I think he's a better backup than a starter. So I'd like to see him. It's about money, and it's about several other teams might be trying to look at him, see where he can. He's got a narrow window. If somebody really offers him like even $1 million more, you go get it, because he won't make it up over the whole time. Okay, Jordan. Sources say that Ron and Heinecke are trying to figure out a deal. Okay. Who's your source, man? You going to give it up? I say I don't give up mine because that's a long story, but that's what I do for a living. But we'll see. After today, who do you think they'll draft 1, 2, 3, 4? GB, come on, man. Give me a break. I can't do that for you right now. Can't do the draft right now. Let's see what the dust settles here in the next week or two, and then we'll look at the draft. I just am not a guy who says, let me give you my first mock draft today. I mean, I could, but I'd just be throwing darts against the wall. So I don't want to play that game with you. So that's why I don't do it. But I will soon. Everybody's got to play the game eventually. I mean, the draft's what? 5, 6 weeks away? So, hard to believe. It's really like asking me who's going to win the Derby right now. I'm a big horse guy. Too early. Steve's tired of everyone's meaningless mock drafts. I know, dude. We're just bleh. I mean, I did my NCAA pool. You can see another video on that. I did my brackets. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, I've won a couple times in my life, but okay. James B's from Hickory. I got family in Hickory. So and thank God you don't like Duke. That's good. Yeah, I have cousins, Mullinaxes, in Hickory. My family's from down those areas. So Snyder's, Mullinaxes, and all. So now I've been to Hickory. I thought Wake Forest was the end of the earth, and I used to have to drive over there for games. And then Hickory's like another 45 minutes past that. Whew, is that a long ways? Let's see. Jacoby Brissett is a veteran quarterback signing, says Joe. Definitely have heard the name. I wouldn't be surprised. Jordan just wants it to be draft day too. You got three draft days, and you got a while to savor it. I don't want to rush my life ahead and worry about the next thing so much. Mike, how much cap room is still after the signings? I haven't counted it up yet. Still a moving target. Ask me again. Well, ask somebody. Ask John Kime or somebody. They might be able to tell you. Antoinette, who's a frequent one. Hi, Antoinette. What do I think about the free agent commander sign today? So this is classic. What happens is this show, most people watch this show for 10 to 12 minutes, and then we rotate through. And so if you're hanging there all the time, you'll notice I repeat stuff because people cycle through the show, which means also time again to say, hit the thanks button so that I get paid for somehow spending a Monday night with you guys on the off season. Well, it's not the off season, I guess, anymore, but it does help support the show. $2, $5, $10, whatever. I'll take whatever you got. Rare coins, Bitcoin, whatever. Hit the thanks button. That way I'm more inclined to do these shows. And this fall, I am thinking about creating an exclusive club who gets to do this, but it is going to cost you a few bucks. And I might just move the show to that kind of setting because, hey, we do this for a living. Got to do this stuff. All right, Sean, what's up? I'm sorry, Antoinette, I didn't get to your question anyway. I thought I'd give them a B just because the signings were mostly depth, but a couple on the offensive line. Targeted signings, things they needed. That's why I liked it. I guess I'll give it a B. Let's see. What grade did I give the Payne extension? Well, I didn't give one, Sean, but I would say I give it an A, given how much they knocked the cap number down. And hopefully he proves worth the money. Sometimes when guys have their best year before the new contract, and they never play quite the same again. I'm not accusing him of that at all. I'm just saying it happens. Let's see. What's the best menu item at Roy Rogers? Yes, easy. Well, the fries are awesome. I do like Roy Rogers fries, but the double R burger with the ham and the hamburger, I like that better than a lot of other parts. The fried chicken's not bad. I just don't eat there very much anymore. And I had a health crisis last year. And I've lost 40 pounds now, and my new goal is to kind of get back and really focus and try and lose 20 more. So I can get off the stupid CPAC machine they told me. Those things. Thanks, Nicholas. All right, so Joe A kicked in a couple bucks. Thank you, Joe A. I do appreciate that. How many people thank you for $2? I tip guys all the time $2, and they don't say nothing to me when they give me my card. But I do appreciate it. And Steve kicked in $5. Thank you. See, you don't have to give me $1 million. Just if 1 million people give me $1, that would be great. But thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Any truth to the rumor George Santos played part of the team? Oh, yeah, I think he's calling himself Jeff Bezos at this point. I actually do not have Jeff Bezos right now, my favorite. I think Josh Harris and his group is my slight favorite to win over Bezos at this point. But I think it's going to happen. And I like Fertitta a lot. He would be an interesting owner, too. And there might even be somebody else out there. There's still a lot to happen, but I think the sale is going to happen there's going to be a deal in place by March 25th, because the owners' meetings after that could be a little mean to Dan. So preemptive, at this point, I knew he'd dangle it for a while. He's trying to run the money up. He's trying to put it out there that Bezos is involved, sign a non-disclosure. That way he can tell the other guys, hey, man, I really do want to sell it to you, but Bezos' money is coming, so could you need to kick it in another $100 million. I would do the same thing. This is what he's going to make all his money off of. Get it for as much as you can. I don't blame him one bit on that. So I know he's playing the game like that, but the game has to end at some point. And I think by March 25th, we'll know who can be the next owner. Thank God. I wasn't going to be here anymore. If you did, I was going to quit and retire. But not now. Things are getting good. Thanks, ZZ. I feel good. I'm looking good. Morse or whatever it's called. The trading place is mine. All right, Nick, is the Mathis pick last year confuse you more every day? No. I mean, they didn't know what was going to happen with Duran. Mathis looks like a good player. Dude's huge, man. He blocks out the sun. Nice guy, too. I talked to him a little bit in rookie camps and stuff last year. Funny guy, real nice guy. So we'll see if supposedly his recovery's gone well, and he can't have enough good linemen. All right, Patrick says, any practice QB from maybe Kansas City wanting to come here? I don't know if he's a practice QB, but that Mahomes guy's pretty good. If we could get him, that'd be great. I think he'd be fine. Do I think they'll sign Bobby Wagner? Asked Mike. Nah, I think price-wise, I don't see that one coming. Antoinette, can Beza sue Snyder for not wanting to sell the team to him? No. I mean, as long as it's not probably every one of the real tenets about race, creed, color, religion things, like you can sell your house to whomever you want or not, but you can't not sell your house to somebody based on those things. And I think it'd be dumb enough to ever say something like that anyway. So, no, you couldn't deny him the right to bid for the team. He can but he's free to say who he wants. The NFL wants Dan Snyder to give Bezos a fair chance at this team. Now, if he picks somebody else and money was somewhat comparable and all, that's Dan Snyder's choice. So the NFL can't force it, but they can at least say, come on, man, you got to look at him. All right. Justin, do we need to draft an offensive line with the first pick? We just picked up a couple of good guys today. Hey, if there's a stud player there in the line and you want to take them, take them. I don't think it's as likely now, though. I would say corner, maybe a tight end, depending on how things go there. Corner, tight end would be my first guesses. Maybe a inside linebacker. But I don't think offensive tackle now is the pick. James, since Garoppolo went to the Raiders, did he actually go today? I don't know. Am I behind on that one? Did he actually do it? I know they were talking about it. But where does Heinecke end up? Heinecke could still end up with the Raiders, which is one of the things people are talking about, because he wouldn't be Garoppolo as a starter. Heinecke be a backup. Heineke's a good kid, fits in well in the room. Nothing wrong with going to him. So, I mean, Vegas was a lot of talk about it, him going there. Hey, I'd love to go play in Vegas. Probably get more trouble. If I was in my 20s, oh, man, that wouldn't be the place to go. Get in trouble. Mike, any updates on the stadium? Yeah, we got lots to talk about, huh? No, I think they're all now waiting to see who's the next owner, and then we'll look at what happens with the stadium. That's like the next shoe to drop, as they say. Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers' deal done yet? I haven't seen that anywhere, but my Jets friends were texting me today about it. I'm like, best of luck with him at the end of his career. Let's see. How many shirts do I own roughly? I swear I've seen you wear a different shirt each time. Yeah, Joe, I actually try to do that so I don't look like I'm wearing the same junk every time. I'm not exactly a fashion plate. And I moved to a new home, and I finally had some room in a big closet that I got to put my clothes in where the wife didn't steal it all. And I realized I'd been double hangering my shirts for so long. I had much more than I thought. So I probably have maybe 40, 50 shirts. I don't know. It kind of surprised me. I lost some weight, so I bought some new stuff, but I still have some old stuff too. It surprised me though, honestly. I don't wear them all the time, but I try to pay attention to that here. All right. Thanks for the question though. James B, $3 million, $72 million for Garoppolo. All right. I'm glad he didn't come here because I can't spell Garoppolo. It drives me nuts to try every single time I have to look at it when I spell it, type it up. Team sold by June, Alex asked. I think by June, yes. June what? I don't know. Maybe June 30th. But yeah, I would say May, June, somewhere in there. Carson Wentz future coaching career as ball guy. Ball guy, you're crazy, man. I've seen your notes every day. Maybe. I think he's too young, though, for it right now. I think eventually. G Sykes, what's the thanks button? Just look down below me, and you'll see the thanks button there. You hit it, and it says, would you like to give Rick money? Here's a few dollars. And you want to say, yes, I do. And you hit the thanks button. It was something they created, YouTube created a few years ago. They get 30% of it. But they did it during the great pandemic. Like all these musicians, that's how I learned it. There's a musician named Rick Snyder that spells it the same way as I do. Honestly, kind of could be one of my cousins. He kind of looks a little bit like me, but he's from Canada. Big hairy thing, that beard and all. He sings, and it would be like you're sitting at a piano and a tip jar there, and they create it. And he says, What's the next song you'd like me to sing?" And somebody tips him, and he sings that song. And I thought, this is awesome. So I'll talk about whatever you want. Hit the tip jar. You want to talk about something else? We'll do that. Let's see, Antoinette. Surprised you have that many shirts. Yeah, after losing them for football games. So I don't wear my shirt if I've lost it picking football games. And typically I get about 6 times more clicks when you can see this much of me. You don't even quite see this much of me because I have this big open heart scar, like starts, I don't know, around here, goes all the way down. It's pretty gross. I had open heart surgery in 2004. So lucky to survived everything. And they have a big scar. They get a saw, it goes and just cuts you in half. That's gross. And looks like, science experiment. So I don't show that scar. Although if you hit the thanks button, I might. But no promises. Yeah, Alex, I do say that way I have laundry. It's funny how you people get caught up in this stuff. I used to be this really serious journalist for so long. But the heart attack took a little bit of the edge off of that. And now people see me as the old guy in the room. I'm the longest running sports writer in DC at 45 years. And I'm just having fun at this point. I've done all the hard work. Now I'm just trying to have some fun before I fade away. So, these questions are just funny. A dollar bill at the bottom of the chat window. Yeah, I didn't know that's what it looked like, but okay. So I thought it said thanks, but maybe it says dollar bill. Okay. Any truth to the rumor of Eckler? Asked J Dubs. I have not heard that one. So I can't validate it at all. I don't think so. I'll say that. Showing skin cells. Well, yeah, Sean, I looked at, I'll tell this story. It's a true story too. Where OnlyFans. And I thought, hey, maybe I want to have a site on this new thing, OnlyFans. It seems like it's very popular. And I thought it was about sports fans. I mean, who else is fans? Well, it turns out it's fans of naked women. I didn't know this. So, I said, I started to do the video just for fun. I said, I wasn't wearing a shirt. And I mean, usually when I do this, I do it like maybe this. So you see this much. And I was like, yeah, they told me not to wear a shirt for the show. I thought it was really weird. And the internet erupted on me, figuring I was this clueless. I'm surprised so many people know about this, but I guess I'm too old. But I was going to do OnlyFans and I kept looking at it. Isn't there a way to do this without being naked? But I mean, it's you guys doing this stuff, man. You're the one, not more. My wife and daughters were horrified, but that's why I said, have some fun. Alex, thoughts on the Oscars? Man, when Georgia the Jungle won, this is the problem when you get old, you can't remember names. The guy won, who was Georgia the Jungle and all the funny stuff, won that actor award. I was so happy for him because who thought he would win? I thought it was a great show. I thought a lot of real heartfelt people really, came up. I thought it was one of the better Oscars in a while. Joe B. Mitch not being in the Hall of Fame is a travesty. I agree. I write about it all the time. I think it's just that they don't want to do special teams players very much. No. RK. Whoa, RK came in here. Thank you so much. Not to take my shirt off. Very good. I like that idea. But thank you so much for the money. And I'll keep my shirt on for the rest of the show, I guess. Yeah, that's what I said. People should pay me to keep my clothes on, not off. I can't believe I ever talk about these things. All right, so Thomas wants to know about the Vikings corner they picked up, which is Cam Dantzler. 26 starts. He's got some experience. He's going to be a backup, but I think it's a decent backup for you. Somebody's got that much experience where you're not trying to rob other teams off of after cut day and coming up with guys that have never played, and suddenly they're playing for you and getting burned. So I like this one better. Brendan Fraser. Thank you, Alex. Brendan Fraser's the guy. I was happy for him, to have won that kind of role. He looks stunned because it's the only thing they won. You can always see certain movies just steamroll. And, the funny part was the guy who won, and I didn't realize that was the little boy from the Indiana Jones movie. Once they said it, I thought, okay, I can see that. where you go, watch out, Indy. And I saw them hugging at the end. I thought, wow, I didn't know they knew each other. And that was the kid from the Indiana Jones movie. That was really cool. Thoughts on Bud Grant, S ball guy? Man, Bud Grant was one of the immortals of this game. And I remember there was a game about a few years ago where it was brutally cold in Minnesota and they were outdoors. And Bud Grant comes to the game and it's like, wearing a short sleeve shirt and everything just to show everybody how tough he was. And I thought that's awesome, man. Some of those old coaches like Bud Grant, I only got to meet Landry one time. But man, he was a force to me. It was an interesting dude. Would I trade a first and third and Sweat for him? Asked Smooth Mike. Who's him? That I missed it. J-Dubs, know anything about the linebacker Barton? Yeah. And Cole is not coming back from what I can tell, J-Dubs. But Barton played very little his first 3 years, but he kept him. And then his fourth season, he played better. So, played a bit last season. So maybe he's just a slow bloomer and it's worth it. I think I don't know if he's going to be playing a lot. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl because of him or not go because of him. Chad, thank you so much, man. I do appreciate this. Man, I'm actually going to have enough to get a soda tomorrow. This is great. Indian Lake Bud Grant, I think of someone awesome garage sale that he had. He sold his fishing collectibles. Really? Wow. Well, living up there. When I covered the Redskins Super Bowl in Minneapolis in January '92, the Saturday before the game is usually the only time you have off the whole week there. And they did trips for writers, and you could either go to the hockey game or you could go ice fishing. And I thought, I am not going out on some frozen lake in vehicles like this. I mean, I live in Washington. Can't even think of that. So I went to the hockey game. But a lot of guys went to in some respects, it would have been cooler to have gone ice fishing because I would never do that again, where I've been to plenty of hockey games. I just thought guys like me don't wander around on thin ice, All right. Smooth Mike says D's nuts is him. Okay. Indian Lake would trade Young before Sweat. Well, let's say you get the same thing for Young or Sweat. Which one would you trade somebody? I'll take either one. I would probably trade Sweat, but that's a close call. And like I said, I know everybody now wants to make it an either-or situation. I don't think it has to be that, but I want to see what Young can do this season beforehand. I mean, it's been tough. It's been tough to figure him out. I'm not saying he's a bust. He had a great rookie year. You just never know on that. Here's somebody texted me that they want to confirm their tour. That's right. I am a tour guide. If you come to DC, licensed 13 years. I do tours, a lot of theme tours. I'm doing a brand new one in Old Town Alexandria, which you can go to monumentalthoughts.com and see about that. I have half-price tickets for people if you want to come. Or you can have your own. I've actually picked up 4 or 5 tours from viewers recently who want to come to Washington because we're finally coming back out after the pandemic. And they want to go have some fun and see different things in town, and I can do whatever you want. So if you do, go to Monumental Thoughts. You can see how to reach me if you're coming to Washington. Okay. I look like BDK. I should know who that is, and I can't remember anymore. Tell me who that is. I mean, some of the reporters were begging me to come looking like Andy Reid to Eric Bieniemy's presser. Wear a red shirt and a hat and everything and look like, because everybody says I look like Andy Reid. And I thought about it, but I'm not into that kind of stunts, but it would be funny. I'll give it that. I bet he would have taken a look for a moment, but I'm not as big as Andy anymore. Let's see. Steve says, seems like the Skins played the Vikings every time they made the playoffs in the 70s. They didn't play together a bit. Yeah, it's weird. And then it was like they played Seattle back in the 90s several times. Ball guys, is it you or is it stories of NFL players getting popped for PED have died down? Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure why. I guess everybody got smart enough to figure it out that the tests are real. They test these guys all the time. And there's no privacy in this, just so you know. It's like that dude's job is to watch you pee in the bottle. Not to the side, right? Direct looking. And if you don't, then you're found guilty and you get fined or suspended off of that. That's a hell of a job, man. The only one like that I know of is in horse racing. They got a guy called the pea catcher, who after every race has to go to the top 3 finishers, and if the favorite does poorly, they do a urinalysis test on them all, every race. And there's a guy whose job was to get it. So you think, you have a tough day? Oh, let's see. Justin says he's been collecting sports cards and have a lot of Diami Brown. What's his outlook? I don't know. I think Diami Brown can still be a player in this league. I'm not sure it's going to be here, but I think he has potential in the right system. And I could say that about 90% of the players in the NFL. In the right situation, they could do well. But often they're not in the right situation. Kevin, is it true George Washington didn't smile much because of his wooden teeth? Yeah, I got a picture of that around here, but I won't bother taking the time to go get it. George had 1 tooth left. Everything else was animal teeth or teeth he bought from slaves to put in his mouth, and so it hurt like hell. So he didn't smile very much. He tried to not have it in his mouth. I grew up across the river from George. The water's bad there. I lost some teeth myself at an age. Not easy being around Mount Vernon. Slam and Jammin's back. There you go. Just the last chat with Dan Snyder as the current owner. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not sure when I'm coming back, though, again. You just have to watch out for announcement. I just thought today would be a good day since so much happened. But I don't want to do it every Monday in the off season because you burn out. I get tired and everybody gets tired of it. So that's why I'm doing it. When do you see a new owner will be named? Yes, RB. And like I said, most people watch 10, 15 minutes of the show, so we're cycling through the crowds. So that's why I answer the same question. It's not a problem for me. I say we'll get one named in about 2 weeks, right before the NFL meeting. That's kind of really the deadline for Danny not to get named, get smacked around by the NFL owners. Nobody wants to do it. So I think he'll do it. He'll walk it up to the edge and then do it then. And then it'll take a while to go through stuff. So May, June is when we'll see it. Is Danny Johnson coming back for a bigger role, J-Dubs asked? Don't think so. I think it's the same role he's had. Justin, yeah, I agree. It's a good wide receiver room. That's what hurts Diami. Indian Lake, speaking of George Washington, I'm hoping we end up with a tight end named Darnell Washington. Wow, you got me on that one. I haven't looked that one up yet. I haven't really. The draft is something I spend more time after free agency. So what's my opinion on Barrett? Asked the Washington Commanders. I guess the team needs to know, huh? I don't have one at the moment, to be honest. Never give up. Go Maryland B-ball. That's right. NC State game in '83. Remember that? I'm the Terps. I've been watching Terps basketball since '73, I think it was. '72. Elmore McMillan days. My favorite team. I think they'll beat West Virginia in the first round, and then I think they lose to Alabama in the second round. But good team. Yeah, it was a good year. I like the new coach, Kevin. I think he's going to do some good things with Maryland. Let's see. What's Joe Washington done since he left football? Steve asked. No idea. Haven't heard a word. Forget it. Let's see. Do I believe the Commanders will go through a new name and rebranding, ball guy? People ask me this all the time. I don't think so. Don't think so. Not in the short term, at least. Too much drama about all that. The NFL would discourage it. What name are you going to have that everybody loves again? Not going to do the Redskins. And so everybody that loves one of the other names but hates those just as many. So I think you got to live with Commanders for a little while. Justin, your brother's a Colts fan. Okay. Yeah, not getting Bryce Young now. Sorry. Big fan of Joe Washington. All right. Well, Indian Lake. I like Joe Washington. I didn't cover him personally, but a good player. For the love of God, stop changing the name, says Alex. I kind of agree. 3 names in 3 years is enough for me. Remember Carson Wentz, 3 teams, 3 years. Yeah, I always thought that was a little skewed. But you could say, hey, this team had, well, it wasn't 3 years, was it? They were the Washington football team 2 years. So was it 2 years or 1? Forget. So much goes through your mind. Well, RB, was I a Redskins fan growing up? Absolutely. Grew up in Washington. So who was I going to root for? The Cowboys? So my favorite team, growing up was the 70s teams. George Allen came to town. I started watching when Lombardi came, 69. I grew up a big Sonny fan, but Larry Brown, was one of my favorites. They were, it was just fun. There was no baseball team in town then, so they were the whole show. So I really enjoyed. That's been one of the great parts of covering this team all these years is I got to know those guys personally and hang out and just know them. Like Sonny and I were good friends, still are. I talked to him right when he had his number honored. And I was the only person that he talked to because I'm the only person that has his phone number. So yeah, but as a reporter and columnist, you have to be objective about things. So I try to, there's no cheering in the press boxes. Trust me, they announce that before every game. But in your mind, you can think whatever you want. I'd rather see them win than lose. I mean, when players win, they're happy. That's a lot easier to deal with than when they lose. I'll tell you that much. And everybody else is happy. So why would you not want them to all be happy? Then more people watch the show. I mean, if I had, if we were on one of the bigger, more successful teams in the past, we'd have 5 times as many people watching. But I'm a Washingtonian, so I root for Washington teams. All of them. I'd rather see us win than the other team. What's the chances Snyder takes Goodell down with them? Asked Dizzy. Ooh, Dizzy's back. Yeah, I mean, I've lost a lot of respect for Goodell. I used to think he was a good guy. I've known him a long time. But this is a bunch of crap that's been going on, and he deserves to be knocked out. I hope he retires. I hope he just retires and goes, but I don't think he will because the owners like that he protects them. But he's ruining the Shield by looking so bad, I think. And commissioners used to have a lot more power. Now they're just, puppets more, than the old days when they would do things to people. All right, so Humble, here we go with this question again. Sweat or Young? I don't think it's time to make a choice on all this. Indian Lake wants him to go to Red Wolves. Well, I kind of like the name, but didn't happen. Got those digits. All right, ball guy, whatever that means. Sweat is the top talent and remained healthy. Yes. Well, I mean, he missed some games last season with that, or is it the year before? It all runs together. We're doing the show so fast, I don't always have time to think about it. He's been hurt, at times. Washington Commanders said they need to draft a corner, or a lineman. I think either one certainly is in play. How long after Snyder bought the Skins before it was evident he was, I don't know if he has a dark soul, RB. I'm not judging that. I'll let God do that. But I could tell things were going to be a little weird right away, probably within a month. Scampy boy, let's go Brady. And do you think Brady's really going to say, I'm back from retirement again? Wow, well, dude, you do what you want. Come on back and play if you want. I love watching Brady play, but come on, man. Try not to do this to us again. Release McKissick and Gibson and get Eckler, asked Big Spank Dog. I don't know. I don't see that happening. Thoughts on Bieniemy could do with Antonio Gibson? Well, Alex, he'll definitely have him in motion more, won't he? I like Bieniemy. I know there were people who said they didn't, players that complained about him. I think it comes down to this. If you grew up in like a military household maybe, or one with strict discipline, Bieniemy didn't bother you at all getting in your face. But if you were always told you're special and nobody ever yelled at you, you had a problem with the man. So I think that's what goes on there. My generation, we got yelled at all the time. So, worry about it. But I know some people don't do well with it. But I liked him. I liked when he basically said, I don't care about analytics. I care about ballers. I was like, yes, found a coach that I like with that. So I'm willing to give this guy a chance. Let's see. Big Spank Dog's all over the place here. Not a big Gibson fan, I guess. But he could be a big star. Let's see. I don't know. That's an interesting one. But I don't think Gibson is the key player that we're looking at there. Who's going to benefit the most from EB? Maybe Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson's going to have like 1,200 yards this season if he plays a full year healthy. Let's see, who else? Well, if Logan Thomas is healthy, I think he has a big year coming back with that. So, Alex, players should be used to military personality after 3 years with Rivera. You think that, but I don't think Rivera was as tough on him as he had been earlier in his career on the Panthers. I mean, the guy went through some hard stuff himself. So, I don't think it's quite like you might think. And players love him. They love Ron. So I don't see a problem there. Let's see. Augustina King's here. All right, man. We got definitely a lot of guys came in. And like I said, my annual pitch time for those of you new here, if you see the thanks button, the dollar sign down below my head, hit it and help support the show. We do appreciate it. I don't know who we are, but I do. All right, first round trade either up or down, but we don't take the pick, says Augustine. I think the odds are you're probably right. I mean, look what happened last year. They moved down a little bit and did very well with those extra picks. Why would you trade up? Well, maybe trade up a piece or two, Mike, if something's really there that you think you want. Let's see. Big Spank Dog talks about the O-line from Kansas City. Yes, on there. So they got Wiley. That's a big one for him, I think. Don't forget to thank Rick for his time and knowledge. Thank you. Most of my knowledge is fading away in my head, but get it while you can on there. But legit question, ball guy. Will the next owner commission a statue of Daniel Snyder? No. The legit answer, no. His name will be forever stricken from the land, and we will not speak of it anymore. Whew. Why are they looking at Austin Eckler? Okay, I can't speak to Austin Eckler. I've been asked that several times, and I just don't know the answer to that. I'm being honest with you. I could make a BS thing and go, oh, yes, Austin Eckler, I think he's high on their board. I don't know. I'm no sense me sitting here lying about it. I don't know, but I'll know by draft, whatever. I'll know. Well, I'll know before the draft. I'll know soon. Let's see. He should not be named. Yeah, it's kind of what we're going to make Voldemort, with Dan Snyder's name. I'm not going to talk about him anymore. Get Bezos in the building and let him shoot a shot to Lamar, says Big Spank. But it ain't going to happen in time, so no sense talking about it. Why wasn't Lee Oswald found before the Kennedy motorcade drove by? Asked Mojo. I've been to that spot. It's really cool. History is often in much smaller situations than you would think. Like the grassy knoll, I always envision it as this big hill. No, it's just a curb, and there's the grass. I don't know why they call it knoll. And they have an X on the ground, and it's just basically a ramp onto the highway where he was shot. And I've been in the building. I've been right to the window where you can see it, where the shot was taken. I think my personal thing, I think the mob is behind killing Kennedy, because the guy that shot him had connections. Then the guy who killed the shooter had mob connections. So there was a lot of talk about they were upset with Kennedy, and it was involved a woman that some of the New York mobsters were also involved with. And I don't know. It makes as much sense as anything. Okay, I do tour. And like I said, I'm a tour guide. I do a lot of Kennedy tour stuff and walk around, and we talk about, here's where he kept this woman. I mean, the dude he went, Inga Binga, who was Miss Denmark, who had connections to Hitler. She sat in Hitler's box during the 36 Olympics in Berlin, and yet she was dating Kennedy here later until Kennedy's father found out and said, hey, you think you're going to get to be president by dating a woman with ties to Hitler? And they got J. Edgar Hoover to take that woman off the street to the airport and flown out of the country. So crazy stuff like that. Come on tours. I'll show you where she stayed and all. Let's see. The most overrated DC tourist spot, Wobo asked. That's a good one. Mostly people ask me a different way about that. So it almost is like which monument I don't really like as much. That's a great question, man. Trying to think which ones I really go bleh. Because they're all good in their own way. So I don't have an answer to that. Wow. All right. I'll have to think about it. I'm going to Alexandria doing tours. There's a lot of great history in Alexandria. You see some of my videos on your YouTube. Sometimes I throw them up when I'm trying to take a break, and I have a bunch that I do while I'm out there. And I just throw some history ones up so you can have something to watch while I take a break for once. So my Alexandria tours are at monumentalthoughts.com if you want to come on that or anywhere else. Let's see. Big Spank. It sucks the front office is going through. It's hurting the spending power. I don't know. I think right now they've done okay. I don't think they would spend the big money otherwise for it. So that's a good question. You know, if you do come to Washington, you don't have to come with me anywhere, but the American History Museum just put in some new displays of all pop culture stuff. There's a lot of really cool things. Or the Star Wars robots, Dorothy's red slippers, Archie Bunker's chair. I mean, there's with Babe Ruth's bat, Prince's guitar. There's a lot of cool stuff there. It's all free too. Let's see. Remember, you're spelling Snyder wrong there, Big Spank. You're spelling it like I do. And I spell it right, but he spells it. The other one spells it wrong. Oh, that's such a long question. I can't even. It hurts my head to think about it. If you have a chance at Maryland, you take it. Okay. Whatever that means, Mike. I'm sorry. Sometimes we go so fast. Here it is, at 8:51 already. We've been rolling along. We had a lot of people tonight. That's great. Because off season, not as much constant material out there. I'm sorry, Marilyn Monroe. Okay, Mike says if you have a shot, take it, Marilyn Monroe. Well, I mean, I've been married 42 years, and so I'd like to think I'd be not stupid, but it's Marilyn Monroe. I don't know. That's not one of those things where you do it first and ask for forgiveness second, because no, your wife will never forgive you. My thoughts on Heinecke, Big Spank. I think he's a great backup, and if they can get him for a reasonable price, you do it. And I don't think he's a problem in the room. Will I be covering the draft live, RB? Wow, that's a good question, man. Maybe. Let me think about it. Might not be a bad thing, but it's so long. It's like, they're picking 16. I think I did do it live last year. We had a big group, and they're picking about the same place again. So I would say more likely than not. Biggest celebrity I've ever met, Mojo asked. Well, I met the guy who runs a country over in the Middle East. He had a horse in the Derby, who was like the prince of a country. I don't know. That was pretty cool. Met Bo Derek at the Derby. Derby has a lot of big names there, there. So you meet a lot of really cool people. Matthew McConaughey used to come to the sideline of Redskin practice and didn't know who he was, back in the 90s because he hadn't hit it big yet, and told us he was an actor. And I said, oh, good luck with that, man. I think the next year he hit a big movie. So we were like, what? Wow, okay. We knew him when he wasn't anybody. I meet a lot of celebs. So I met Gloria Estefan. I actually had a selfie taken with her. I love her music. Met her at the Redskins Super Bowl at Minnesota. That was cool. I did like that one. I have the picture somewhere around here. Why won't they show the Commanders' picks, say Steve? Absolutely, man. ESPN and NFL Network every time. And Washington's on the clock, and we're going to a commercial, and we'll let you know who they pick when we come back. Every damn time. Every time. I mean, it's gotten to be a joke. The last 3 years, I've been clocking it. It's really weird on this. Let's see. Do I watch Mark Holmes? No idea. Oh, Big Spank's married 13 years. Been married 42, dude. You're a newlywed. Draft day equals Groundhog Day. A little bit, ball guy. Dizzy here. Let's see. Have I heard from Rigo lately? No, I have not. It's been quiet because Rigo's producer called me to ask a question. It's probably been that long ago now. So he wanted, they wanted to get in touch with somebody. I had a number. But I covered Rigo. Wasn't one of my favorite guys because he was a real pain in the butt. But he's his own person. I don't have any bad blood with us, but just wasn't any fun to cover because he didn't really want to talk to me or any other reporter. Are the Nationals looking promising for 2025? Never give up, says. Well, never give up, man. It ain't going to be this year. But they got a lot of young guys from those trades, so that's about when they'll show up. Man, Nats has just been tough. Why haven't they been sold? What is going on there? I mean, I thought we just had that deal knocked down, but maybe not. Augustine, we always pick in the middle of the draft. Not true. So they got to pop a commercial. No, they do this stuff on purpose. I know they do this on purpose. Mojo, do you think Snyder will take Bezos' money, or is the hate so strong? Well, it's not just Dan. It's also Tanya, from what I hear. And Tanya don't want to sell to him either. But at some point, how many times have I always heard people, I'd never do this. Marty Schottenheimer, I'd never work for Dan Snyder. Next thing you know, well, I found out Dan wasn't so bad. And he took the job. Seen it a million times. So I think it's still possible. No doubt of that. But they won't. Yeah, I take the money and go. You know, personally, I would never go work for Dan Snyder over the years. Not that a job was ever offered me, but I always said I'm not interested. I'd never work for him. If he suddenly said I'll pay you $500,000 a year, I think Dan would have been a great guy. So to be honest, we all have a number. We all have a number, and so do the Snyders. Didn't Curtis Jordan and Jeff Hayes own Rocco's Pizza? I don't know. I was at Rocco's Pizza recently doing a show. Rocco's deep dish is awesome. Tim McLean. I mean, there's other ones too. I don't know about them owning one. I hadn't heard that, but Rocco's Pizza, man, their deep dish is some of the best I've ever had. Mike Lowry. Oh, if it's from Bad Boys. Did Harris and the others tour the facilities? And if so, do you think it's almost a done deal? I have heard that Harris did it. It's not like they let me tag along. They did it when nobody else was around. But yes, I heard Harris did tour the facility. I don't know that it's a done deal yet. I think anything's still in play. Anything is still in play. Let's see, Antoinette. Will the new owner fix FedEx Field for the coming season? No. There's very little you can do right away. I mean, what are you going to fix from FedEx Field? The drainage? So it doesn't pour on you? I think if you could do better customer service, and that's possible. I saw, in the old days at RFK, I used to give away things every game to fans just to say, thanks for coming. We appreciate you. And Dan Snyder always said, how much money you got in your pocket? Give it to me. That was his philosophy. Give me all your money and go borrow some more and bring it over here too. I'd like to have an owner that doesn't quite do that. I mean, obviously they got to pay the bills too. And the next stadium, you're going to miss FedEx Field because the next stadium is going to be expensive. And as I always say, the word of the day is, here it is, PSLs, personal seat licenses. Wait till you see what those things are going to cost. Because if the new owner is going to be building a stadium for $3 billion or whatever, got to get his money back somehow. So this team has to start winning so that you're willing to pay it. If they're going to the Super Bowl, you'll pay whatever. Okay? If they stink, you're not. So they need that money for the new stadium, and that's why I think they got to start ramping it up soon. Realistically, how long can a new owner build a new stadium at RFK? Once you get through the permitting and all that, you can do it in 2 years. And they can stay at FedEx as long as they want. So if they have to stay at FedEx for another year, they can. Nobody's going to kick them out. It's going to take a little bit. I think the RFK is definitely still in play with Bezos or Harris. Not for Dan Snyder, no. Because here's the thing. DC says, you want the RFK site? Okay, you can have it in some of the parking, but some of this land is going to go to other things that we want, and we want a lot of other things to make this part of the community. Dan Snyder would say, I want all the land and all the money, and you get nothing. And they said, screw you. You're not getting it at all. But the next guy smart enough, like Bezos, says, grocery stores are a big thing in a city. They don't have enough. All right, this dude owns Whole Foods. We'll pop up one tomorrow. So that's why they can, these guys can make it all work. If they got to trade land to get that land because it's national parks land. All right, so Jeff Bezos goes buys a mountain somewhere and they swap the land. Developers do that all the time. That's possible, but you're going to need somebody like him. All right, Mike, let's see. Do I think the recent early Commanders moves will make an impact? I think they'll help a little. Does it get them to the Super Bowl? No. What gets them to the Super Bowl? Well, maybe. If these offensive linemen can really keep Sam Howell clean in the pocket, then these moves do make a big deal for the playoffs. So I guess I answered the question both ways. Okay, so I didn't know about the pizza places Never Give Up. There you go. Learned something new. Maybe they'll name a toilet after Snyder, the one with the Y, not me, Steve. Mojo, Bezos' best choice for organization. It's a win-win. I think so. I mean, I hear the stories about Amazon and workers and warehouses and all that, like you do too. Show me a billionaire that doesn't tick off everybody. Because they talk about Tillman Ferretta, and people are oh, he's horrible. Show me a billionaire that hasn't ticked off everybody and stepped on a few graves. That's how it works. Even Cook. You think Cook? People think Cook was this nice old man in a way. No, 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 no. He was a nice old man because he won 3 championships, but he was a tough, tough guy to deal with everybody. So, what do we care who owns the team in the end? Just win games. Okay, so Steve kicks in a few bucks. Thank you, Steve. We're nearing the end of the show because instead of doing an hour, but nobody's going to pull the plug on the time. Honest Brute, well, there you go. Almost, yeah, thank you. Oh, my lawnmower fund. Yeah, I just bought a house in November. It's got a little over 3.25 acres, and I've cut it once with my old John Deere, and it took about 3 hours. And I need to, buying a house is expensive. I'm selling my old one in a couple of days, which is great. So I have a few bucks. I got lots of yard work to do. I've done 35 bags. I've trimmed all the trees and raking all the yard. Used to be a meadow, so I have a lot of work to still do. One day it's going to be really nice. Let's see. Metro, thank you so much for all your notes. So Honest Brew, thank you too for the kicking in. The Carter Home Gym. Okay, I don't know what that is. Do I see any big moves in free agency? No. They don't have the money for that, and so that's not happening. Have I been to a DC Defenders game? Mojo asked. I did right before the pandemic, right before, but I have not been this season. My Seasons of Discontent podcast partner Matt and I went together, and who knows? They're 4-0, so maybe we should go see them. I'm all for Beer Snake. I don't know why people, you think the team would want Beer Snake. Why? Because all the cups are beer cups, which people pay money to drink the beer, which means the owner's making a lot of money with Beer Snake. That's a lot of money there. I think they'd say go for it. So I don't have a problem with Beer Snake. Have some fun. My God. That everything is, just so much drunken behavior, though, at times. I am not saying that at the Defenders game, but at the Commanders games in the past, it's gotten out of hand. Steve said the Hercules pizza I had over at Rocco's looked good. We're not at Rocco's. It was at OBO Pizza. It was. It was a multiple meat one. Metro, thank you so much. I appreciate doing everything. Didn't know I used to be a reporter. I've been a reporter and a columnist for 45 years, man. Where you been? I mean, I've worked for everybody, and I've been laid off by everybody in the last 10 years. That's why I'm doing this now, because I got laid off by the Post after being laid off by the Examiner and after leaving the Times. But, yeah, I've been covering sports in Washington since 1978, 45 years and longest content. We'll see how much longer I go. As long as my health is good and having fun, I'll stay, because it doesn't pay enough anymore. That's why I do this and beg for tips, because it doesn't pay like you'd think anymore, because everybody screwed me over during the pandemic. Okay, is the XFL better this season, Antoinette? I think so. It seems. I mean, I've only watched some of it. I only have so much time to watch things, but it does seem like it's a little better organized. Do I watch any UFC? Not really, Justin. I'm a lover, not a fighter anymore. Catch me when I was younger. That's when I would be at the fight stuff more. Although I like the theatrics of it all. Have I tried ZZ's Pizza at MGM? No, I haven't. No, I have not. Oh, you actually make the dough? Honest Brute? Well, all right. If I come by, will you make me, will the dough cost me any dough? I don't know. I haven't been to MGM in quite a while because I never won any money there. So, yeah. I grew up in that area, but you think they'd throw me a buck or two. I can't win any money around here. What's the best decision Jack Kent Cook ever made, Mojo Daddy? Not firing Joe Gibbs at 0-3 because he wanted to. He threatened Beathard to fire Joe Gibbs if they lost again, and they did lose that week, and Beathard and Gibbs hid from Cook all week. And then they lost again, and they went to 0-5, and they were both sure they were getting fired, and Cook took a breath, and then, it all changed. Think if he fired Gibbs at 0-5. Marty Schottenheimer being fired at 0-3. was or 0-5, whatever. He got the whole season, so he turned it around too. But Marty should have stayed. That was the biggest mistake I think of Dan Snyder's tenure, was firing Marty. I think they would have been a better team. Antoinette, I'm going to pick the Kentucky Derby. Sure. Am I going to pick it right? Who knows? I've had a few winners. War Emblem paid $20. That was one of my 20 to 1. Paid $40, $1,500 exacta, and I cashed that baby a few times. That was nice. That money's long gone. And that horse died about a year ago. Sad. Ooh, Honest Brute, going to pay for a slice of pizza. Ooh, that should be my new slogan, pay for a slice of pizza. Thank you so much. I'll have to try Easy sometime. I think we're going to Stained Glass Pub soon in Rockville, is it? I've been there once before. We're going to go back with a friend of mine. I don't know. Pizza's the only thing I do eat that's off the chart. Got to have a little fun in life. I mean, my doctors, after I had a heart attack years ago, and they were on me a diet, and they go, basically, look at those grizzly bears. They eat salmon and berries and drink fresh water. I said, do you see any of them skinny? So, I'm not eating like a bear anymore. But I do really watch what I eat anymore. I'm much better at it than I was. So hopefully this season I can lose another 20 pounds and look even better and feel better. That's the key. It's not that I care about so much looking better. It's feeling better. Because when you get a certain age, I'm just telling all of you this, when you get older, you start losing the ability to do some things in your life. And you just say, man, if you treat food better as fuel and such, you can do things longer in your life. And that's what I'm facing. So I'm like, I want to be able to do these things. So I got to eat better. I got to do better with it, or else you just fade away. So that's why I'm doing it. Pepsi or Coke, Alex? Well, Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, maybe. Coke has a little more bang to it. I don't drink coffee at all, but I do drink sodas a little. Drink a lot of iced tea and water. I know they always talk about the Diet Pepsis and sodas really make you fat. I don't know what that's about, but favorite candy, Antoinette. Antoinette, I see these commercials for payday bars that are chocolate covered. I heard they're at Walmart. I'm like, dude, that looks awesome. And I'm trying to stay away from these things. If you come to my house, you won't find anything here. Why? Because I'd eat it. That's one way it's like if I was an alcoholic, you'd find new liquor in here. You won't really find any liquor in my house anymore either. I do have a bottle of Tito's vodka I want to try because I had some at a party and I thought, wow, this is really good. So I'm going to get into Tito's eventually. So, all right, we're at the end of the show where I'm talking about such crazy things. So, all right, let's sum it up. Decent free agency start. Now, I have no ideas on draft yet. I'll be back before we get to that. Dan Snyder's going to sell before the NFL owners meetings, at least have an agreement. It's going to take a little while before the sale goes through on there. Greatest band of all time is Aerosmith, probably, even though I love Fleetwood Mac. Let's see, what else we have? Stadium, we're going to wait until the sale before it really proceeds anymore. So that's there. And Sam Howell, I think, is going to be the starting quarterback. They're not going to go for Lamar Jackson. So that should be about it. And Taylor, I think that was 50-50 on signing Taylor Heinecke. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Great show tonight. A lot of great questions. We had a lot of people here. So if you're watching on replay, the show will be back on YouTube in a few minutes. As soon as this is over, they'll put it back and you can watch it all or none or whatever you want to do on there. And the videos I put up every day, 6 a.m. Is a video. I schedule it. I'm not up at 6 a.m. doing that. People would think that you look good for 6 a.m. No, do it the night before. And usually around 5 p.m. And if something comes up like today, I post something in the afternoon. I just kind of work around whatever, as I'm doing other things too. Occasionally I like a little time off. I try not to do that. And that's about it of everything. So thank you all so much for coming. Go to Monumental Thoughts if you want to see go and talk about tours. There's that green book behind me. I just did a book about how to start your own YouTube channel for $10. Just type my name in Amazon. It'll show you there. I'll talk about it the next time. And I'm not sure if I'll be back next Monday or not. I'm going to just kind of see how things go. is there enough worth talking about like today? Because that way I don't burn out. I did like 26 shows in a row in the fall. I think we were all tired of it at the end. So I feel better now of doing this. Glad to see everybody back and coming around. So thank you all for coming, and I will see you again soon. Just follow me on Twitter, Rick Snyder, Washington on Twitter, as well as YouTube, and you'll see me pop up and say, hey, I'm coming out and doing something. All right, guys. See you later. Thank you so much for coming.